All right, guys, a quick update for December 2024. 2 weeks ago, I had some scheduled content that was running on autopilot from the week before where I did that episode with Devcon here. And then because during that week, the wife had signed me up for a training program where I would be trained to be a trainer to make extra income to help support the ambitions of this channel, pay some bills, etc. So it's just another kind of monetization channel before this thing really scales and builds up over time, which we don't know how long that will be. But it's a grind, and we're being persistent and hopefully more consistent to get there. But in the meantime, we do have to feed ourselves. So that program was the whole week, 9 till 7 p.m., which really could have been condensed to a few days. I guess I won't talk about too much because if I'm going to be a part of this program for trainers, it's a scheme for the Malaysian government where they give out, where companies are forced to pay out for training their staff to keep the labor force skilled. But of course, there's so many in-between bureaucratic things. Anyway, that was 2 weeks ago. That was my full week. And I had content going. Last week was like a catch-up week. A break. I was super burned out from training or learning about training or how to train, how to build programs. So last week was a little bit slower. I didn't really get to put out much content as I wanted to, or really any. It's been surprisingly hard to get back onto the horse once you're off, right? When you break that routine, or at least for me and my personality. So last week was a little bit slower, trying to get organized, trying to figure out what I wanted to create. This week, we're back at it. So what do we have coming up? Upcoming content for December 14th, we have the traditional LLB recording with Jianggan, Dave, and Joon. I'm not sure. I don't think we can do it in person unless I can figure out this kind of remote situation. Tomorrow, I have to figure out if I could somehow stream Jianggan through our sound mixer, which might be possible. We might not be able to see him, so I'm not too sure how to capture video. But anyway, I have to figure that out. If not, we're going to do it on Squadcast, unfortunately. Not as nice from a quality in terms of quality, but at least we're getting content together. And that's the direction we want to go in. That's for December 14th. We have a very delayed episode, which I've already finished the editing for the Devcon 2024 update. So we get a crypto update. I wrote a little Substack a few months back in September on some where are we headed for crypto. At the time, I was interviewing for a job, crypto adjacent. The company in itself was crypto, but the job in itself was more user acquisition. Maybe we could talk about that in a full episode or something like that. But we had a little update then. And then we have a little update again at the end of the year to see where we are at crypto and where we're heading. I think the episode was done on Squadcast with Justin and Chung. Justin from Quidly, Chung from Team Rocket Labs, Team Rocket Research. And the problem of doing Squadcast episodes remote, it's very hard to get the right quality. I would have to spend an inordinate amount of time forcing people to get wired cable connections and getting nice cameras and microphones to make it a good experience. Maybe over time, if I have more regular guests remote-wise, we could do that. But anyway, that episode's coming up. Basically, some thoughts around Devcon. How was the conference? What were some highlights? What are some thoughts around it? I need to probably front load what was good about that episode because it was done over Squadcast, which was not the best quality. So I will try to upload all the kind of insights and learnings up front. And if you're interested, you could watch the full episode after that. So that will be tomorrow. I'll try to get that out. And then I have another episode I recorded this week end of last week, where it's a brand new startup. I literally never met these people before. So it's two co-founders. One is a Singaporean co-founder and another is a Russian co-founder. We've been getting a lot of interesting Russian talent, this mass exodus from Russia of all this talent and entrepreneurs, artists, interesting people I keep coming across in Southeast Asia. So anyway, the co-founder of this startup is called MIEA Health, or MIEA, M-I-E-A. Was supposed to do a product jam as an episode. So I wanted to be completely off the cuff, fresh, didn't do any research, wasn't sure if it was going to pan out. So I couldn't get through the deck. So this episode that's coming up will primarily be a deck breakdown. So if you're looking to learn about how to think about a pitch deck, you could hear my thoughts about that specifically on this episode. First-time founder who needs to raise, or if you're in a fundraising process, might be useful for you. Founders found it very useful, I think. I enjoyed it. I've been looking at decks, breaking them down for a long time as a part of the angel investing work that I do. It was interesting to hear my thought process out loud and get live feedback. So I think that was interesting. Might do more of that content in the future as well. So that episode will probably be next week. Still want to do one more Devcon recap episode with my old neighbor Joe, who's a successful crypto founder, started a company in crypto, exited, is managing his money now, actively invests. So I think we agreed to reconnect after his trip. He was traveling abroad. And so I think he's back now, but I've been a little bit too busy for the past 2 weeks. So I need to reach out to him. So we'll try to get one more crypto episode before the end of the year. That specifically, Joe is very DeFi centric and very pragmatic. So I think that'll be some interesting insights versus the current crypto episode for Devcon Recap 2024 coming up this week. So what else do we need? Oh yes, I think I will try to record another episode. Speaking of the Russian exodus, I recently met a Russian couple who's looking around doing an app business idea, but I think their day job was more interesting, or their main career was more interesting, where they were animators. They, of course, had problems living in Russia. Of course, they had to leave. They chose Sri Lanka, which was very interesting. And so I think it might be an interesting episode. I personally am interested from the angle of the Russian mindset, leaving Russia and trying to figure that out. And then very specifically, Russians within Southeast Asia, where will they land? And how will that benefit the ecosystem from a builder perspective, investor opportunity perspective? The Russian people that I meet are very introspective, very intelligent. Some are deeply artistic. Some are deeply business-centric, savvy, just generally smart people, though, that I've been coming across. At least the ones that are trying to make their way through Southeast Asia. So I'm interested in that angle. I'm interested in maybe their work as animators and trying to make that work as a business. Right? So we broadly cover entrepreneurship and business. So I think maybe learning from that, especially they seem to be more artistically driven. So balancing that creator aspect while trying to monetize might be interesting. So that's another episode for the end of the year. So I think this is like the short-term pipeline. And then I think we have some annual planning to do for next year. I think the direction's clear. If you see the Thank Alan episode I just uploaded recently, Alan is our first paying member, and he said what he liked. And it's a lot of the formats that we've done before. So more kind of group discussions, try to get more people in early next year in a group setting to discuss maybe different topics that are in the wheelhouse of these people, whether it be entrepreneurship, tech, social issues, politics. I guess we'll figure that out. And then more of this kind of OG entrepreneur, older generation guys who built successful businesses in Asia. So I think that will be the kind of planning and focus, at least in the short term for the first quarter, to see if we can continue this content. So if this kind of interests you, subscribe, and if not, turn on your notification bell to see when the new content comes out. And maybe from time to time, I will do shorter contents and shorts related to the long form content. And I think that pretty much covers it for December. So see you guys soon.